Patrick was the nicest, the most caring, the most generous. He was funny. He was everything. He was, without exaggeration. I told him that he was one of the good ones, one of the very few good ones left. He was a gentleman. He was a provider. He was a great father. He was an amazing husband. He was there for everyone.
So Mitchell, oh my gosh, that kid, Mitchell had a personality that was just larger than life. That kid always had a big smile that went from ear to ear on his face. He had this little, when you look at his picture, the one that's on OSHA and our USMWF, you'll see it's like this half crooked little smile. He always looked like he was up to something, because he usually was. He was like a prankster. He loved pulling pranks. He loved, getting me going, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, "I'm just kidding, Mom." So he always was trying to rile me up. He did the same with my mom, and he got her really good all the time. She always fell for it. She'd be like, "What?" And then he'd be like, "I'm just kidding, Grandma," and he'd start busting a gut. He had this laughter that just, oh gosh, his laughter and his smile, they both lit up the room. I mean, he just totally was larger than life. And you could be having the shittiest and worst of days, and just him coming in the room with either his smile or his goofy little antics or his pranks or his personality or his dance moves, oh my gosh, he would just get you laughing, and you'd forget about all the whatever was going on that day.
Pablo was a loving uncle to his nieces and nephews. He was the youngest of 13 siblings. So you can imagine the devastation there to lose a little brother in such a way. And he was just an amazing man. He was fun and funny and kind, and always available for anything. Whenever Sam has a birthday, when she played softball, she wished as well that he was there. But I was pregnant with her when it happened. She was born a couple of months later. And I raised her knowing who her father was, and with plenty of pictures and stories, and visiting his side of the family, so she knew who they were. But there's always been something missing for her there. Seeing him on video or hearing secondhand stories is obviously not the same as having that person involved in your life. The impact he left on us has been profound, and we'll never forget him. And it's been incredibly difficult, but we make do together.
I guess the missing Kevin, the absence of him in our lives. For me, besides the two of us going to work separately, we just spent so much time together. We were just approaching our 25th wedding anniversary and retirement, and so for me, all of that just disappeared. We didn't have children, so it kind of leaves me here in my big house by myself. But his nieces and nephews, they feel a great loss for him. Since we didn't have kids, they were very important to him. They very much miss him.
Patrick worked midnights, so he worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I remember, because I always walked him out and gave him a kiss, and I told him, "Call me later if you can." And I said, "Be careful." And his reply to me was always, the last thing he said to me was always. I got a phone call from a friend of ours who his wife works there with him. And he asked me to try to call Patrick. About 30 minutes later, I received a call. And I don't remember exactly who it was, but their words to me were, Patrick was in an accident and he has passed. And I don't remember too much after that.
So, I mean, I was at work that day and got, it's, you know, the worst news you can ever get. They pulled me from a client's house, but then ran to our office and there were cops there. I knew something was wrong that day. Didn't know what, but I had a really bad feeling it was somebody in my family. And I thought maybe somebody had just got hurt. And then when I walked into the office that day, I just remember walking in the conference room with my boss and 2 cops there, a man and a female cop. He said, there's no easy way to tell you this, but your son was killed at work today. And I just remember screaming, no. Ended up finding out, you know, later on that, you know, he was sent to go and work inside a silo and old concrete, 3rd generation farm. Nobody was in there but God that day with my son. No one knows what really happened because he was sent inside that silo while the auger was running at 800 some RPMs per second.
That day, when it happened, that was January 25th, 2005. We got up, we only had 1 car, so I took him to work. I remember dropping him off so vividly. I remember that last moment I saw him. It's about 4 hours later. I get a phone call from my sister asking me if I had heard from him. And I said, no, I hadn't. When I got home, I remember my dad. I remember lots of people gathered around the house. I knew that wasn't a good sign. I remember my dad telling me he didn't make it. And it just didn't seem real, like how I just dropped him off. To be burying my husband at the age of 26 was, I just couldn't believe it.
It was July 3rd, right before the 4th of July. I was at my parents' farm. Kevin was at work. All my brothers and sisters were there except for one of them, and we were just getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July. My sister-in-law actually received a phone call from my brother. My sister-in-law told one of my other brothers that, you know, you need to take her to the elevator. Something has happened. And I just, you know, nothing's going to happen to Kevin. Kevin has always said that he's, you know, he's safe there, and you know, I worry too much. And they said, no, Tammy, you need to go. And so on the drive there, I just kept thinking, you know, it's going to be, you know, something just little. It's not going to be anything, you know, big. When I got over to the office area, a sheriff met me and told me that it's not a rescue, that it's a recovery now. I asked, you know, before they took Kevin away, if I could see him, and they said they didn't recommend it, but they would see what they could do. And the ambulance came over to the office area, and when I turned around and came out of the ambulance, his co-workers were all standing there just covered in grain and dust, and I could see how devastated they were.
Workers' Memorial Day means more to me now than pretty much any other holiday.
our country is based upon, we revolve by everybody working together and on the job. This country doesn't survive without your workers. It just wouldn't. In the workforce, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a waitress, whether you're a construction worker, whether you're, working in the trenches, it doesn't matter. This is important, not to just honor these lost, fallen loved ones, but this is a huge support, system for us.
It means a lot. It means honoring my husband, honoring all those in all of the different fields of industry that, they went to work that day, and their jobs maybe sometimes are not the glamorous jobs, but their jobs are the ones that do a lot of the work and are not always given credit for what they do.
Ideally, it's a day we come together to kind of mourn together, but also renew our fight. But when I'm not able to come together in person, I take to the internet and just go to Twitter or Instagram or social media and share what the day means to me, and how, yes, we're mourning for our dead, but we also need to renew our fight for the living and remember to help those left behind.